Hello, friends. Hello, hello. Happy Wednesday. Welcome to Craft Your Joy Live. I opened up today's live on the wrong screen, so good times. Okay. Hello, hello. Okay. Today we are going to do an easygoing watercolor tutorial with our stamps, and I'm going to continue our conversation about budget-friendly watercolors. I'm going to talk about Rosa Gallery watercolors. I've talked about them before on the channel, but I'm going to use them today. And we're going to use them with my newest stamp set with Gina K Designs called You Are Golden. I'm going to mash it up with another stamp set. So, okay. Super fun. I see everybody popping in, got a little distracted there. Hello. Hi, Sue. It's your first time. Welcome, welcome. Welcome to Craft Your Joy Live. Hello, Rhonda, Mary, Judith, Cheryl. Yes, the music in the beginning is very calming. I love it. I license that music because it's just very, very calming, and I like it a lot. Okay, I'm excited to be here with you today. Today is a little bit different. I normally go live on Thursday, but I have another time commitment I need to attend to tomorrow, so I'm going live today, a day early. And you know what? I don't know. I've experimented with days, and we'll see. We'll see how it goes. Okay, let's get going. Today is, like I said, going to be a fun tutorial. I'm going to talk a little bit about underpainting. So let's just go ahead and dive in. Now, we are going to, oops, got like little techie issues today. Let me, and I'm kind of giggly, so let's just get going. Okay, all of the supplies that I'm using today are linked down below in the description. I am also going to kind of go through them and share them as we go along. And we are going to make a card today. So I am using these two stamp sets. We are going to focus using You Are Golden and Life is the Song. We're going to be using this bloom and creating a pattern with it. And also just kind of talking you through this watercolor technique called, I'm going to also use this one right here. We're using this watercolor technique called underpainting. Now, basically, underpainting, I see more people popping in. Hello. Hello. Underpainting is when we do some washes of color and we're working light to dark. I've talked about glazing and layering before in the past, but we're going to talk about a little bit of underpainting today. We're going to do some of our underpainting with Gina K Ocean Mist, and then we're going to build up our layers of color, as you can see in here, with the watercolor. Okay, now I don't want people to get like super confused about what underpainting is. Underpainting is just a watercolor technique, watercolor vocabulary, let's say that, for doing a light wash of color over your entire project. And then you start to build, you dry and you build colors on top and in between. And that technique of building colors layer by layer is called glazing or layering, which is really a simple way to say it. Hello, there's more and more folks popping in. Hello, Irma. I hope I said this right. Cherie, Denise, and Kathy. Hello. Okay, so we're going to do underpainting today, and it gives you this washy kind of look to it. It gives you more of a layered look. Now, one of the beautiful things about our stamped images is that we could take the time to layer in color on each petal, but I'm not going to do that today. And we could take a really long time and do that. But I like this technique of underpainting and glazing our layers and building them up, because you get a lot more texture and dimension. You've got that beautiful look and feel of layers of color without us really being super fussy about it, if that makes sense. It makes sense. Okay, let's talk about the colors that I am using today. And again, if you have a question along the way, especially, let me double back real quick. Sue, since this is your first time with us today, or anybody else, if this is your first time with us, just go ahead and put question in the chat. My chat is over here. Nocturnal illuminations, glazing, great on cards and donuts. Yes, oh yeah, and cake too. Um, just go ahead and put a question, the word question or Q with your question, and I will see it and I will answer it while we're going along. But the technique, these tutorials here, my weekly tutorials focus, we end up making a project, a card, but I don't focus on the dynamics or the anatomy of making a card. Like, we're going to cut it here, we're going to paste it here, we're going to do all these things. We tend to focus on the techniques, and then we build something. So I hope that's helpful. Okay, now the colors that the budget-friendly watercolors that I am using today are Rosa Gallery, and I have used them before on this channel. The reason why I say that they're budget-friendly is because you get a ton of paint with them. This set from Rosa Gallery is called their Romantic set. These are made in the Ukraine. They're absolutely beautiful. They are really, really vibrant. And this particular set has quite a few beautiful colors in here that are really transparent and some that are kind of opaque. So you'll see like some of these maple rose, the cad yellow, the cobalt. We're going to use a little bit of the cobalt today, are a little bit opaque. But these colors are just really beautiful. I have a couple sets from the Rosa Gallery set, Rosa Gallery line. And the thing about them is that they're always full pans. So if you had a set of these, I think this set right now, it's artist grade quality. It's high quality paint for like $50, I think, right now. So this is a set of, what do we got here? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 21. So there's 21 colors. I pulled mine out that we were going to use for that price. And in a full pan is a really good value. And I just like them. And I've shared them before on the channel. And today, last week, the last 2 weeks, when we've been talking about budget-friendly watercolors, we've been talking about Winsor Newton Cotton. And so today I wanted to bring in more of an artist grade budget-friendly watercolor. It's kind of a super cute little tin, and share them with you today. Okay, we're going to mash up these watercolors. I'm using like a green gold. I've got a Payne's gray in here, a phthalo blue, and a cobalt turquoise. And I will swatch them out. We'll get a piece of paper. I've got Strathmore Ready Cut watercolor. This is the color. This is the 100% cotton paper that I like to use. No big. Everybody knows it. I use it a lot. So we're going to be using that paper today. And I have made a card base out of watercolor paper. This is 100% cotton watercolor paper. And then cut another base out of Master Layouts 2 with Gina K. And this is what we're going to work on and begin our underpainting project, and stamping and all the things. Okay, so again, if you have questions along the way, don't hesitate to drop them in the chat. Now, today we're focusing on underpainting and building up glazed layers from light colors, our lightest color blue, to our darkest color blue. And then I'm also going to share how you use a neutral color, which this is like a Payne's gray, to add shadows as our very last little bit. Okay, we're totally nerding out. I can feel myself nerding out. Now, we're going to get started with the Ocean Mist color here. And we're going to do a little sploogey, little splashy sploogey. So I'm just putting some of this color down on my glass mat here. And it's very, very, very light. You could do this with your Gina K inks. You could do this with your Distress inks. I really wanted a really light color. And I'm just wetting this. And I'll show you why. I'm just going to take my card piece and just kind of do like a little 360 here into the color and just get my little wash of color here. Now, I don't love that it's not like super wet, so I'm just going to wet it a little bit and just let it do a little bit of mixing. Okay. Now, this is how I'm doing the underpainting. Normally, if I'm actually painting like a painting, I would have my illustration and then I would do this layer as like the first wash of color. But we're doing it, we're doing a mashup today with our stamped images, with our watercolor, and utilizing supplies that you have, like your stamping inks. So, all right, now I'm going to dry this completely. I'm going to move this, let this kind of move around a little bit. Get a little bit of washy. I'm going to dry this completely. Just going to sop it up a little bit. There we go. Oh, I love this color. Come on. Get dry. Look at that little bit of blooming right there. Love it. Ouch, burn. Okay. It's like when the ocean mist is such a pretty color with Gina K. It's like a very, very pale robin's egg blue. I love it. Look at the little bit of blooming I got. If you flip this over, we got a little heart. Those of you who have been with me many, many times, we always have a heart that shows up in our work most of the time. Okay, now this layer is nice and dry, almost. I want this to be really dry. And it's got a really, really pale wash to it. Love that. So I'm going to use this stamp from the You Are Golden set. And this stamp has some leafery already attached to it. So that's going to give us some opportunity to play with our green color, our green gold color as well. And we are going to do this flower. It could be any kind of flower in shades of blue, because I'm feeling it. I'm feeling spring, and I really like this idea of this blue and this gold green. I'm going to use Obsidian, and we're going to create a little triad pattern on this cardstock. Now, you could use your Misty on this watercolor paper. You could use your Misty, and the reason why I want this completely dry is because if it was a little bit wet, that Obsidian would not adhere to the watercolor paper. Kind of overdoing it there. Oh, Cheryl just got her You Are Golden bundle yesterday. I love this flower. I really love this flower. Okay, I'm going to start like right here where we've got this really interesting color texture happening. And I'm really, really hoping, I should have gotten my Misty. I am putting a little bit more pressure on here. Kind of went rogue. But look, we've got that beautiful color of the ocean mist coming up through the flower, right? So we've got our first layer of transparent color, ocean mist, coming up. Love it. Okay, now, gonna do this again. Jesus, I'm always getting this all over my fingers. The Obsidian. Okay, I'm gonna go ahead and stamp this down. I'm going to do a little chatting in between, and I'm going to try to angle my next, see this bottom right here? I'm going to try to angle that right in there just to kind of create this pattern repeat and also create this relationship between the two flowers. So it's a little close there, but that's okay. I'm kind of digging it. So I've got this nice relationship between the flowers. And then I'm going to kind of put another flower up here. But I'm going to go upside down. Just kind of create that angle. working the angles. I see more people popping in. Hello, how many do we have here today? Since I changed the day, you just never know. Also, pop in the chat. So I'm going to come right in here. Pop in the chat and let me know if you're liking Wednesdays over Thursday. Oh, there we go. Love it. Oh, I forgot to bring my tidy towel in. Cheryl just asked a question. In this instance, could you stamp the first, then do the underpainting? You could. You could. You could stamp each. Yes, and you did just see me spit on my towel and clean my stamp. I forget that I'm on camera. That happened. So yes, in this instance, you could do one image and you could do your underpainting, and then you could dry it and do another image and do your underpainting and then another image. But what I'm doing today is I'm kind of doing a couple different things with this underpainting. I really wanted to focus on creating this pattern in this like kind of triad look, to where when we apply it to the card, we can make some decisions. I kind of like it this way, but you could do it this way if you wanted to. And I really wanted that color underneath it, and then we're just going to build up some color. But yes, Cheryl, you could absolutely just lay in the color one at a time if you'd like. People are sharing that they like the Wednesdays, or any day is good. I was just curious because I know that Gina goes live on Thursday. Other people go live on Thursday. Some people go live on Wednesdays, and I know that some, we all watch multiple channels. So just doing a little check-in. See if middle of the week feels good. So yeah, people are liking Wednesdays. Kind of cool. Okay, now what we're going to do is we're going to go in with our next layer of color. And I want to swatch some of these colors out so that you can see. Oh, people are sharing that that Wednesdays is like your free day. Thank you, Barbara. This is cobalt turquoise, and I kind of want to share. I'm going to share this with you. You can see that is a lot of paint in that Rosa Gallery paint. If you can imagine, if this was the only set that you had, you would have this set for life. It would be really difficult to get through all of that color in a lifetime. I think I'm saying that. Okay, see how opaque this is? But what I really love about this is the more water you add, the more you can really get that green tone coming up and through it. And then this is phthalo blue. Before we start to apply these, I just wanted to swatch them out. This is actually a little bit different. Rosa Galleries, they call it blue. Let me pull that up. Blue phthalo. Phthalo blue tends to be a little bit brighter than this in other brands. This one has a little bit of indigo going for it. Like it's a little more on the darker blue side. So as far as like it being called phthalo blue, not really. I'd have to check the pigment on it too to see what it is. And then the green that I'm going to be using is this green gold, which I think is gorgeous. Gina is Tuesday at 1 a.m. for me, so it's tea time. Oh, very nice. Gina, yeah, Gina's Tuesday, but she does Tuesdays or evenings, I think, right? That color is gorgeous. But Thursday she does afternoons. And then I'm going to pull in this color. This is like our Payne's Gray neutral tint color. So these are the colors we're using. Hi, Debbie. Yes, can you list the name and the brand of the watercolor set? Absolutely. You might have missed just the very beginning. I am using Rosa Gallery. It's listed down below in the description. Debbie, this whole month of April, I'm talking about budget-friendly watercolors. The last two videos prior to today, we talked about Cotman, Winsor Newton Cotman watercolors, and I really kind of ran those down. These watercolors that I'm sharing, Rosa Gallery and Cotman as well, I've used in many tutorials on this channel. But this particular set from Rosa Gallery, they have lots of different sets. They call this one the romantic set. Um, and they are just absolutely beautiful. There's 21 colors. It's really a budget-friendly watercolor artist grade, and they're full pans of color. Yes, so these color combinations is what we're working with today. Now, we're going to start from light to dark, and then this is going to be for our shadow. And I'm going to switch. I was using number 6 and I have a number 2. This is the Princeton Heritage brand of brushes, and I like this brand a lot, especially for times when I'm painting, when I really want to feel like I have a lot of control over what's going on. And the reason why is that they snap. Let's see if I can hold this to where you can see. They snap back. They're really firm and they snap back really well versus some of my other like a Princeton Neptune or silver brush. They're a little more woosy goosey. So I find that the Princeton Heritage brand is really nice. A, for watercolor, it holds a lot of water. B, for watercoloring our stamped images, because we're trying to get a little bit more control over things. Okay, we're gonna move on. I've got this little, let's move some of our colors out here. I've got this little dish here, and I'm going to get some of this cobalt color down. And consistency is kind of key here. So brush is wet, paper is dry. I don't want to completely cover over all of the beautiful ocean mist layer that I have. What I want to do is start to add layers so that we can see the different colors as we begin to add them. So let's just go ahead and start down here, and I'm just dropping in. I'm going to pick a couple blooms, and you can see I'm just tapping these colors in. And I'm not really doing anything yet for blending them out. I'm going to talk about how we're going to blend them out. I am going to do one flower at a time. See how I'm taking a peek at where my color is, where my underpainted color is, and kind of going, like I don't have a lot going on over here. I'm just kind of taking a peek at where my underpainting is happening. And then I'm just dropping in some color. And the Amazon person just stopped at the front door. There's always something. Okay, now brush is wet, paper's dry, cleaning off my brush. And now I'm just kind of sopping it up a little bit. I don't want it to be too sopping wet. I just want it to be enough for me to, actually I'm just going to change brushes because I want to move a little bit faster. Just going to be enough here for me to dance my brush over this color. See how I'm just kind of moving it a little bit in a circular motion and just working with the bit of color here. And essentially what I'm doing, and with my stamped image here, is I'm staining the paper with a little bit of the color, then taking the water. I'm going to flip this a little bit so that you can see. Taking the water and just working in a little bit of a circular motion, dancing that brush around that color and just blending it towards the center. Let's get this little one right here. And we're slowly building up color here. So you can see we've got our second layer of color. I can see one little spot. I think I would like to put a little bit right here. And let's just blend that out. And we can see that we still have that ocean mist back there, and then we have this cobalt turquoise here. So we're getting variations of light and dark in this beautiful flower without painting each petal. Oh, fun, Tressa. Okay, now I'm going to move to the next one. And I'm going to stick with my number 6. And just add brush is wet, paper is dry, and before we move on to other layers after this color, we are going to want to make sure our paper is completely dry, because when you are glazing or layering in color, you want to make sure your paper is dry. Okay, clean off my brush here. It's wet, but not too wet. This is all still kind of wet. I'm going to dance my brush around the color here and just draw it forward. So we have our largest concentration of pigment in that outer edge. Cleaning off my brush, and then I'm just tapping and just kind of moving that color around. Tap, moving that color. So basically you're just staining the paper, and we're kind of using our stamped image and the line work in our stamped image as our guide for doing this wet into dry technique. Brush is wet, full of pigment, paper is dry, tapping, and blending out that color. If you feel like it gets too wet, just tap it off. Tap it off. I want to put a little bit of color right here. I like this technique of building up color with our stamped images more than taking the time to do each petal. You can see I'm just kind of doing the petals individually a little bit. I'm skipping a few, and I'm just kind of letting the layers of color underneath as we build them up inform us of the shape of the flower. So, yep, brush dance. I call that brush dancing, TJ, where we're just dancing the color around. Excuse me, that came out of nowhere. Okay, let's get a little more of this cobalt color. Brush is wet, paper is dry. I want to get a good amount of this color. This Rosa Gallery paint is really nice. They re-wet really well, and they're just a beautiful brand. Okay, now I'm going to flip this, and we're just going to start right here and drop some color in. I need to drop a little bit more. Just dropping a little bit in and around. Then we'll come back and do a little bit of our greens. So I have a consistency here of about between 2% milk and whole milk. You can see that there's quite a bit of pigment here. I'm just dancing that brush around again. And this colors, when you're selecting your colors to do this technique, just keep in mind that you're working light to dark. So we use the ocean mist. That was our lightest in our blue. Hello, Sarah just popped in. Hello. And we're just working light to dark and building up the value of the colors a little bit at a time. You can see how I'm just dancing my brush. Brush is a little bit wet, so let's just dance. Let's just get that tip a little bit wet. Dance around. I love this color. Oh, this whole thing looks very springy. You know, I don't always focus on making sure we're using colors that are like for real. So there might not be a bluish flower out there like this, and there might be but we always use pinks, you know, when we're doing flowers, pinks and reds. So I thought blues would be really beautiful today, and I am loving this. Okay, friends, I'm going to have to blow my nose, so I'm going to mute myself for a second so that you all didn't have to hear that. So, from my sneeze that came out of nowhere. Now look at this color. So you could stop here, and this could be just a really beautiful light wash of springy robin's egg blue color. Or we could just keep going and add a little bit more. And that's what we're going to do. But what I want you to see and what I want you to focus on, let's see. By the way, friends, last week we talked about my glasses and I'm picking them up today because I decided not to do those progressives, but so I might end up doing them. So, okay, so you can see that we've got some of our lighter color. That ocean mist is still kind of behind it and has stained the paper, so it's not super white. And then we've got that layer of color over top. I just love this. I love this painting technique. It really gives us a lot of texture and dimension in your flowers. So you can see we're not painting every petal, we're painting enough petals to inform us of the shape, which makes it super easy and gives you that like that watercolor look that we're all looking for in less time. And I do like things that take less time. Except for laundry, never takes less time. And I know many of you heard me complain about laundry. Yeah. Okay. It'll never end. Brush is wet, paper is dry. We're going to pick up some of this pigment and I'm going to start down here. I'm just going to add a little bit. So what I'm going to do is just adding a little bit of the darker color in just a few of the areas that I've already added that cobalt. And let's just drop, this is just use your judgment about where you'd like to put it. And we're just putting, you see how I'll just put a couple little dots. Now, clean off my brush, kind of come back in. Brush is wet, paper's dry, and I'm just gonna dance my brush. See how I'm tapping and working that pigment, cleaning it off my brush as I go. And not just letting that little bit of color inform that petal. And then just gently touching it. Clean off my brush. So I'm starting to get that color to come up, that next layer of color. See, I'm just tapping my brush, cleaning off as I go if I feel like there's too much pigment. And basically you're just staining the paper with your watercolor. Kind of digging that. Let's just keep going around. But you can still see our other colors underneath. And just working with what's here. Tap, dance the brush around. Tap. Get a little bit of water if you need it. Tap. And you can see that I'm very choked up on the ferrule of the brush here. This is giving me a really good amount of control over what we're doing. I'm going to take a little tiny bit of wet, and in areas that I feel like I want to blend a little bit, just going to run my brush over it. Now, this one right down here, I kind of want to add just a little bit more. So now we're glazing in our colors. This technique is so fun, and it's very easy to do. And you can see it's informing the shape of this flower right here. Now, I feel like we might need to put a little bit of color right here, just so we don't lose this outer petal. Just tap, just very gentle. Brush is wet, paper is dry, and I feel like I need to do a little something right here. So as I'm standing back and kind of taking a peek, the colors are just really vibrant. They're popping. I can see all three colors, but I do want to add a little something right here. Diane says, new to watercoloring and need advice. Can this be done with Karen and Zig markers? Yes, it can be. It can absolutely be done with your markers. And we've done a bunch of techniques with Karen brush markers and things. If you want to use your markers, just take, and you want to use them in this way, don't do direct application from the marker to the paper. Take your marker and just kind of brush it down onto your glass mat, or just like a porcelain plate or a dinner plate or something, and then lift that color up with your brush and apply it this way. And then you can just use your Karen brush marker or your Zig brush marker as your paint. I hope that helps. Let me know, Diane, if that helps, or if you've tried that before. All right, this little petal right out here, I just want to put a little drop right there. And then just to tap, 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 tap with some water, and let that be. So now I've got that shape. I've got some nice shape. The petals look like they've got a little bit of a 3D quality to them. Now let's go ahead and move on to some of the other ones. This brush has a nice shape. I like how the tip always stays sharp. Yes, Barbara, the Princeton Heritage brand, the round brushes, when you're looking for a round brush, friends, you really want a brush that doesn't splay and comes to a really nice tip when you get water in it. Some less, like some cheaper craft brushes will splay, so all the little fibers will start to go, all the little hairs will start to go in different directions, and that is annoying, right? But a decent brush, like this brush you'll have for years, and you will be able to get it into that sharp point. You can see how sharp that point is. Okay, I'm going to move to this one, and we're going to move our way around to the other flowers. I'm going to add a little bit right here, a little bit right here. I'm just kind of, see how I'm just dropping a little color in to inform our shape, but not lose all the layers of color that we've already done. Now I'm just kind of getting random here. Let's add a little bit right here to this one. Clean off my brush. And then I'm just gonna, my brush is still wet, but I'm just gonna start to tap, 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 tap. And I'm basically taking that little bit of water and that paint, tapping it out, and I'm blending it out at the same time. And those little taps also create like some stippling or some texture techniques. We get little droplets of water across our project, and it stains the paper. And like you can see right here, it gives, look at that variety of color that we're seeing. We can see that cobalt, we can see the ocean mist, and then we can also see this other blue, this phthalo blue, which I feel like this blue is a little more on the indigo side, which is fine, Okay, let's just keep going. We're going to go around. We're going to finish this bloom and then do our other bloom, then add our greens, and then see where we are on time. We're doing good on time. And then we're going to pull together our card in the end. I did pre-stamp some images for the end because I did want to take the time to focus on our technique here. Okay. I'm going to add just a little bit right here in that little area. Right there. Clean off my brush and just kind of blend that out a little bit. Kind of digging that. You can see all the colors there. I feel like I need to put a little tiny bit right here. Cheryl just shared, I've noticed that with my silver black brushes, I do love those brushes, the bristles spread when painting and they don't snap back. No. So you're right. So the silver black velvet brushes are wonderful. They're squirrel, I believe they're squirrel, where squirrel hair, where the Princeton Heritage, these are more of a synthetic brush. Those brushes, I love the silver black velvet brushes when I'm doing techniques that are a little bit less controlled, that are more washy, because the brush holds a lot of water, those brushes. And they don't snap back very well. So I feel like when you're doing techniques that you need a little bit more control, where you're holding up a lot closer to the ferrule of the brush, getting a brush that snaps back can be more useful. Diane just shared, I avoid stamps that don't have stencils because coloring scares me. Well, don't let it scare you. I'm hoping you just said you make it look easy. Well, I think a lot of times we'll see inspiration that looks like it took a really long time for that person to make that project. And in reality, it might have taken a really long time. But on this channel, I like to share watercolor techniques or water-based techniques, and break them down and make them a little more simplified. So I hope that helps, and I talk about like the process of breaking down this technique so that you can actually see how to achieve that look. So I hear you, Diane, when you're saying you like coloring stencils, and I do too, and I've started to create them for my Gina K stamps for all of you who love coloring stencils, myself included, and challenging myself to use them a little bit more. But sometimes you want a little bit of a different look. And this kind of technique, this underpainting and building our layers up like this, can give you that look and feel. Can give you that look. I want to add a little bit of blue right there. That caught my eye. Hello, Lynn. Lynn just joined us. That just caught my eye. All right, I'm digging this. I'm loving this. I can see all 3 layers of color. Now, there are definitely layering stencils that you could do to create all 3 layers of color. And Gina has quite a few of them that are absolutely beautiful. But today we're just focused on how you can, I want to blend that out, just saw that, how you can use underpainting to build up your color and kind of create this look. Definitely have 3 layers going here. Loving it. Now, I'm going to come in with my bigger brush, and this next level of technique that I'm going to do for the leafery is called wet into dry. Wet into wet. Sorry about that. I'm going to wet the paper. So I'm painting on some water, applying some water to the leaf elements. You can see underneath, right underneath here, is that ocean mist. Now I want to take a little bit of this green. Let's get this green going. Get that on my plate here. I love this green gold color, and I'm just going to drop it in. Now, one of the things about Rosa Gallery as a paint medium is it's not a whooshy medium. It stays where you put it. There are a couple colors, so see how I have to coax it around a little bit? That's okay. Cleaning off my brush, and this is just that nerdy information that I'm sharing about this brand. I'm going to use this color, and I'm just going to kind of blend it out a little bit and draw it out around the edge. And you can see as I'm building up these layers of color, we've got that ocean mist here, and when I add that little bit of that green on there, I'm going to come in and kind of sop some of that out. When I add that little bit of that green gold, it kind of blends, it lays over top of that transparent color underneath it, which is ocean mist. So that's one of the beautiful things about doing the glazing and the layering. When you layer light colors and then you're adding another color over top, you can jack up that luminosity. So we've got a really luminous area here. Love it. All right, I'm gonna do this over here. My brush is wet. There's no pigment on it. The paper, I'm wetting the paper. Just kind of going around and wetting this whole side. And then just going to drop in some of this color right here. Now, Rosa Gallery stays where we put it, so we have to coax it out. Coax it out and around a little bit. See how I'm just dancing my brush around? Now this is the washy, this is how we can get those washy watercolor effects. Wet into wet. Coaxing that little bit of color. The more water I add to it, the more washy it gets. Oh, I love that. I love it. Now I can add just a little bit more here. Just kind of let it do its thing. See how it just kind of stays where I put it? And that's okay. If I want to coax it around, I can move it around. Just add water. And dancing my brush around. All right. Now, everything looks really vibrant right now. And when watercolor is wet, it does that. It looks very, very vibrant, and it looks very like day glowish, right? So we're going to dry it. One of the things between adding another layer of color, my flowers are a little bit wet, my leafery is a little bit wet. I want to add another layer of green, and then I also want to add some Payne's gray in to our flower in a couple areas just to bring a little bit more shadow in, but I need to dry everything first. You want everything to be dry in between layers. When we were doing the flowers and I was doing layer after layer after layer from the ocean mist, which dries instantly because it's a Gina K ink, and then I added the cobalt turquoise, and because I was doing wet into dry, it dried pretty fast. Wasn't using a ton of water. So Barbara, yes, I like the control you have with this color. So yes, we have quite a bit of control. My screen just went weird. We have a bit of control with our watercolor, but we still have kind of that washy watercolor look. So it's kind of a little bit of a mix here. All right, let's go ahead. Dry this in between. I want it completely dry. I'm gonna flip this over. Burn my finger. Okay. So completely dry. And what I want to do is show you, like, look at this area right here where that ocean mist was. And then we've got a little bit of that green gold over top of it. But notice how that color is transparent. Both of those colors are transparent. So they're hanging out together. But that green gold that's over top of that ocean mist is kind of changing the value of that color a little bit. I mean, the hue of that color a little bit. Love that. Okay, now, digging this. Liking the way this looks. I wish this area was a little bit more washy, but that's okay. I'm going to come in and just grab a little tiny bit more of this green gold. Wet into dry. Everything's dry here. I'm going to drop in some green gold. Very much like the way we did the blooms. Clean off my brush and then just kind of tap, tap, tap and dance my brush around a little bit. Tap, 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 tapping. And all I'm doing here is just kind of enhancing that color a little bit and dragging it down. And just adding that next layer, and it really kind of jacked up that luminosity a little bit more. I'm not focused on painting the petal in any kind of traditional way. Brush was wet, paper was dry. I'm just tapping. Look, I can even just kind of tap some of that color out. Clean off my brush, tap it out here, let it do its thing. Now, okay, to kind of, the luminosity here is really nice. This is a little, I like to blend and bleed that out. A little bit of a hard line. We've got some hard lines and some soft lines, and I kind of like that. That gives it that watercolory kind of feel, which I'm digging. Now, I want to come in, and on the petals, I want to add a little tiny bit of shadow color, just to kind of inform those shapes just a little bit more. And then I'm also going to add a little bit of the Payne's Gray to the center of the flower, just to kind of add that additional black color in there. All right, I've added this to my palette here. Look at that, juicy. Now I'm gonna pick this up and wet. Everything's dry. My brush is wet. I'm picking up the pigment. You can see this is more like a whole milk consistency. I want to drop a little bit of that color right here. I'm going to be pretty judicious about where I'm going to put this, and I'm only going to put it in a probably just same petal across all three. So I'm just putting it in 3 places. Clean off my brush. Everything's still a little bit wet. I'm going to turn this and just tap. See, I don't want it to be too much. I want to tap, and I'm brushing off. See how I'm brushing off the excess? I want to tap, and just let that color just kind of inform that shape a little bit by adding that little bit of shadow there. That one probably had a little bit too much on it, but that's okay. And because we did all of those other layers in the underpainting, we've got this next layer here that's just really beautiful. All right, see how I just keep tapping off? Tap. Tapping off and just running my brush across here. Loving that. They definitely have a little bit of texture there. Digging that. Now, I need to get to work on this one before it completely dries. Tap. That one has a lot on it. Okay. That's okay. Tap. And then I can also kind of pull away some. So with a clean brush, you can kind of also come in and pull away a little bit. I'm really liking that. I'm really liking that. I can also go back in. I feel like over on this one, I might have lost a little bit of my cobalt turquoise. So see, I'm just tapping that in. Brush is wet, paper's dry. Take a little bit of this cobalt turquoise. Drop it in. Now I'm just layering it over top of areas that I feel like I want to add it back in. Like right here. See, I'm just randomly tapping it in. This one right here could use just a little color right there, I think. Oh, and I see a petal. So right now you can just kind of stand back and take a peek at your work. And you can see where our shapes informed here. We've got some shadow. We've got a lot of lights. I'm going to quit while I'm ahead. I'm going to take a little bit of this black and just kind of drop it into our centers. And then I'll tap that out. Brush is wet. Paper is dry. Tap. And I'm just going to tap and move it. You could also like put some gems in the center if you wanted to. I'm not going to do that. I'm just going to, we're just straight up working with watercolor today. You could do some splatter if you want, which we're not going to do that either. We're just going to let what we're doing here is we're letting the colors that we've built into our shapes inform the shape. And that's it. And the watercolor piece, we've used our stamped image, much like we would use an illustration. And we're using our stamped image to kind of just give us the guidelines for applying the color in layers to create the 3D shape and inform the petals. So Sarah just shared, you make it look like I can do this. You can totally do this. On the replay, you can come back. Now, we use these flowers today from my You Are Golden set. But look, you could grab any flower that you have from any flower set that in your stash. And I know you got some. So you could easily do this technique with any floral stamp or any image stamp that you want to try it with. Say you want to try it with birds or something like that. You could easily do that. Okay, now I'm going to come in, I'm going to dry because we're going to put together our cards. And I'm leaving this, digging it, let's dry. Let's dry and let's take a peek. You can see, so in the very, very first couple layers, you can see how light, remember that one layer, we did 2 layers. We did the ocean mist, then I added that cobalt turquoise, and I said, oh, this is just lovely and pale. And then we added more colors and built up these layers of blue into these petals to inform this shape. We've got this beautiful washy look without spending a whole lot of time, right? Okay, I'm gonna go ahead, I've got my adhesive here. I'm gonna go ahead and I'm gonna tell a little story. So friends, I am in the process of packing up my office studio space. It has not been painted in a lot of years. Probably like 15, 18 years. It hasn't been painted. It needs work, and we're ripping up the carpet and putting it. It's the last room in my home to have carpet that is coming out. So we're putting new flooring in, and I have to take everything out. I've got new desk, new furniture. The whole place is going to look like completely different. And I have like kind of downsized products and purging and sharing new things and really just kind of focusing and honing in on next steps for this space. And it is a disaster in here right now. It is a disaster as I go through things and pack things up. And I've been doing this progressively since last fall. Loving the way this looks. Oh my gosh, I'm loving the way this looks. Now, I want to bring in a couple other elements from the stamp set. The seal, and I've pre-stamped this piece of leafy. Now, let's see if we're going to use it in this project. So soon, like this is all going down the middle of May. So I've got to get this place emptied out and so that I can paint and do all these things. And like right above me, which you don't see, is a whole wall of like cabinetry that's hung on the wall. That's all coming down. It's all been emptied. So it's been kind of fun looking at things. Even though I've been purging a lot over the years, I had definitely had more that needed to be purged. Okay, I did this little seal in this color. I used the colors that we did, and the stamped image that I used is from the Blooming Butterfly set. I just love this set. This was an incentive set that is available with Gina K, and I'm using that thinking of you. These little sentiments fit really nicely into that seal, and I'm kind of digging that. I've got that, and then I've got these pieces of leafy, and I had this idea to kind of nest them on around this corner, but I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's going to work. I don't know if it's too big, too small. Kind of could leave it the way it is. Lynn just said, chaos is temporary. Your new room will be amazing. Yes. So also, I will be like, as you know, like I have camera set up. I have a camera above. I have lights all around. Like all of the camera setup will be a little bit more um, managed. Like my cord management situation will be better. And I'm going to be hanging the lights from the ceiling as well. Because right now, like I could reach my hands out and touch them. Um, because they're like right here hooked to my table. And the new studio space, this stuff behind me won't be here. It's a newer unit that I'm putting in, and I'll be standing. All of my new work surfaces are standing, like at counter height. We need, so trying something new. You have the ability to sit at them, but trying something new. I think I'm trying to decide if I want to keep this. I really kind of liked this idea of using this, but I don't think we're going to use it because it's covering up too much of the flower. Wouldn't you agree? I think it looks weird. So I think I'm going to save it. I think it probably worked really well. Oh, you know what I did? I think I turned this way, and I really needed it to be this way. And I think that's why. Oh, wow. Okay, so this is the orientation of the card that I was going for. This way and this way. So I think that's what I was in my mind. I had this idea of flanking something off of the edge here, but the whole thing is just too big. So we're going to lift this up and flip my card, right? Flip my card over because I definitely had it going in the wrong direction. Thank goodness. If I would have glued that down with glue, I wouldn't have been able to get this up. And then here was my story about the glue. So, long story short, because I'm totally nerding out now, I've been using this adhesive because I've gone through all of my glue and I've been purging things and cleaning things. And currently my white glue is like, it took a little bit of a bath because I needed to unclog some things. Okay, so I like this orientation a little bit better, and I think we're just going to pop that little thinking of you sentiment in that lower corner. And we're going to let it be this way without all that extra. I really wanted to get that seal in there, but it's too big. So I'm going to end up using that somewhere else. That would be great on another project. Okay, let's just go ahead and ink this up. And then pop this down. I'm going to open up my card. It looks like I got a little schmutz on it. That's okay. If you get schmutz on the back of your watercolor card, just paint your card. Just paint it. I'm going to add thinking of you right here. I just went in and went rogue and boom, dropped it in. Let's just go ahead and clean that off real quick. Pop this back in. Pop this over here, and here is our finished card. So here was our concept. And then here is our finished card, and I'm really digging it. I'm loving the way it looks. Loving the way this looks. You could add some splatter, you could add some gems. I'm just going to keep it simple, and we're going to, sometimes you just let the watercolor do the work for you and create the texture and dimension and inform the shapes of the flower, and you're good to go. Makes the stamps the star of the show. So, okay, friends, thanks so much for joining me today. I hope you got a lot of good information out of this tutorial. I hope you learned a lot about doing some underpainting. Let's give this a try. Doing some underpainting with your watercolor or using your inks to create that first blush of a washy layer, and then using your stamped images and then layering in some watercolor, or you can use your inks, remember, one at a time from light to dark to inform that shape of your stamped image and create that washy look without stress, without worrying about coloring each little individual petal at a time. That's the beauty of this technique. You get that watercolor look without pretty quickly. You get that watercolor look really, really easily. Everybody's kind of saying, so pretty, can't wait to try this. Happy Easter. Yes, happy Easter, friends. I'm glad everybody enjoyed this tutorial. We had quite a few of us joining in today. I will be back next week. I will absolutely be back next week. And friends, I think we might end up doing Wednesday. Most of you really like the Wednesday. I kind of like us visiting with each other in the middle of the week with a little bit of creativity to send you through to the end of the week and into the weekend to craft your joy. Kind of digging it. Kind of digging it. Okay. All right, friends, couple things that are coming up. If you, and a couple things you may be interested in. If you are not on my email list, I would encourage you to join. I send an email once a week and it tells you when I'm going live, gives you the link, gives you all of the information, and just tells you all of the things that are happening. And it comes right into your inbox. The other thing I would like you to encourage you to join, and it's totally free to you, is my community. Sorry, I lost my word. I would encourage you to join my community at craftyourjoylab.com. It is free to you. I'm hosting it on the Mighty Network, so you're able to look at it on your desktop, your devices, your phone. It's really fun. We've just hit 100 members in that group. It's completely free to you. At some point, I'm going to have some paid classes and paid offerings, but it is to support you with watercolor and paper crafting, and it is a more, I call it my own personal little social media where we're together in community around this one topic, and there's no ads, and it's like ad free, clutter free, and it's just a space just for you, and so many tutorials. And I also do a free tutorial just for the community once a month, and that's coming up next Tuesday. And it's live, and if you miss the live, it's no worries, you can watch the replay. But this month, I'm focusing on brushes, so we did quite a bit of like brush chatter. I'm going to share brushes, and some of my favorites and the differences between them. But there are several tutorials on there already, so I'd encourage you to take a peek. If you just, that link is down below in the description at craftyourjoylab.com, and you can see, when you go there, you can see what the community is all about and see if it's for you. And when you join, it's me letting you in to join. So I'm excited about this. I started this community in December really quietly, and it is the place that I'm going to continue to build. Because I'm not really sure if you ever see things in social media. And social media is pretty cluttered space. So I really wanted us to have more one-on-one conversation. Okay, friends. Thanks so much for joining me today. It's never lost on me that you have taken the time to be here with me today, and I'm so grateful. So have a great day. I'm sending you into the rest of the week with a little bit of creativity to craft your joy. And if you have any questions along the way about today's tutorial, just pop them in the comments and I will come in and answer them. Okay, friends, have a great rest of your week and happy Easter. Spring is here. It's trying to be here. In Maryland, it's still pretty windy and a little bit cold, but the sun is out and we have a lot to be grateful for. Okay, friends, bye now.